And I said, your hand's always broken. You ain't known for your punching power since you moved up from lightweight to welterweight. Why are you so sure you're going to do this?
It's wild, because, like, if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight.
For that, Floyd is the best fighter, in his era. And I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
Reacting to Floyd Mayweather Jr. calling out Terence Crawford, Stephen A. Smith said that today's boxing scene sometimes holds some fighters back while giving too much hype to others. He made it clear that Crawford deserves far more respect because of his talent and achievement. Smith also mentioned that Mayweather is not in his prime anymore and has changed with time. According to him, the focus should be on Crawford's strong dominance instead of making unfair comparisons that reduce the value of his true greatness.
Think about what he had to say about you when he said you're way better than Floyd Money Mayweather. I know you heard that he said that. What thoughts came to your mind when you heard that Canelo Alvarez said that about you?
Hey, that's a big compliment. He's been in the ring with both of us, so he would know, from his own experience. A lot of people, they can say this, they can say that, but there's only, a few people that can say they've been in the ring with Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather and give their own.
He mostly said that Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather Jr. are both outstanding fighters, but pointed out that Crawford is naturally the bigger man. He explained that Crawford's size and strength give him certain advantages that Floyd never really had, especially when moving up in weight. At the same time, mostly gave credit to Mayweather for his sharp precision, accuracy, and smart approach in the ring. He said Floyd was able to deal with bigger opponents again and again by using top-level defense and a very high boxing IQ, while Crawford has not always dealt with that same level of challenge. In Mosley's view, Mayweather's legacy is built more on his skill ability to adjust and ring intelligence rather than on physical strength or power.
Think's better out of those two, Crawford or Mayweather?
I think Crawford is better, bigger. He's actually, he moved in weight class, and I would say Crawford is a better fight all around fighter. Mayweather's really good too, though. You can knock him as well. He's very talented. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because it's bigger. You know what I'm saying? And he would have kept him at bay. It would have been hard for Mayweather to counter, maybe. But Mayweather's definitely a technician. I mean, like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, and Crawford, this is their
view with Ariel Helwani. Terence Crawford told fans that only Canelo Alvarez can really judge the difference since he has shared the ring with both him and Floyd Mayweather Jr. Crawford said those fights happened in very different situations. Mayweather faced Canelo when he was still young and growing, while Crawford met him as a fully developed 168-pound champion at his best. Even though Canelo was naturally the bigger fighter, Crawford still won the fight, showing his strength and ability. He added that when Canelo said he felt more power from him, it simply shows that greatness can belong to different fighters in different eras.
Cooking right there, because there was this thought, this prevailing thought that the smaller man always loses to the bigger man. This was repeated time and again throughout the fight week, and he proved that that's not the case. Again, I hope you all recognize this was a 168 pounder fighting a 147 pounder. He had one fight at 154 last August. Was the undisputed king at 147, beating Errol Spence in July of 2023. Came back the following year, fought Israel Madrimov at the soccer stadium in Los Angeles, and then did everything he could to get this fight, played his cards the right way, and there he was, standing face to face against Canelo Alvarez, who did seem for the longest time like he didn't want to take this fight, and because there was great risk involved, because not only is Terence Crawford one of the all-time best fighters in the history of the sport, he's smaller than him, so a lot of people would be like, oh, of course you're going to beat the smaller guy, right? But I think Canelo recognized, yeah, he might be smaller, but he's that damn good.
When Floyd Mayweather Jr. faced Canelo Alvarez, his trainer Greg Hackett said that Floyd went into the fight as a very disciplined and complete boxer. He described Mayweather's style at that time as sharp, controlled, and steady, qualities that he feels separate him from Terence Crawford, who usually fights in a more aggressive and less predictable way. Hackett explained that Crawford often relies on quick defensive reactions and changes during the fight, while Floyd stood out by carrying out every move. With accuracy from start to finish, even though he gave respect to Crawford's success, he still believes Mayweather's showing against Canelo was the more impressive performance.
The Floyd Mayweather that Canelo Alvarez fought.
Yeah.
And the last version of Terence Crawford that we've seen in the ring.
Yeah.
Who's the better fighter, Jay?
Of course you got to give it to Floyd. Floyd at that time. Ben, what's up? Floyd at that time versus Canelo was in total confidence. His skill set, his IQ. You know what I'm saying? Everything he do, he was just a complete fighter that night. But I feel like was up against a lot because he was fighting a guy that we knew something about, but we ain't know too much about. People don't understand how much a fighter could be thrown off by what he don't know. And the reason it throws you off is because you're actually learning about the fighter while you're in there. That's what Bud went up against that night. That's why he didn't look so great. To me, I could be wrong, but he didn't look so great to me because he was learning a lot about Madrimov while he was in there with Madrimov.
Max Kellerman compared the careers of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Terence Crawford and pointed out a clear difference in how they chose their paths. He said that after moving up from lightweight, Mayweather became very careful in picking his opponents, making sure each fight fit perfectly into his long-term plan. In comparison, Crawford has taken another approach, often accepting tough fights without holding back. Kellerman explained that Crawford shows a stronger willingness to take risks while Mayweather focused more on smart and planned matchmaking. He added that this does not reduce Floyd's greatness, but instead highlights Crawford's drive to test himself in different weight classes against strong opponents.
Because, like, if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, yeah, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time.
Oh, yes.
That makes
Terence Crawford has clearly said that he believes he could beat Floyd Mayweather Jr. if both were at their best. He made it clear that this is not meant to disrespect Floyd, but comes from strong belief in his own skills. Crawford has shown respect for Mayweather's career while still feeling that his own versatility, power, and ability to switch stances would give him the edge. He is not trying to take anything away from what Floyd has achieved, but is speaking as a true competitor who is ready to test himself against the highest level the sport has ever seen.
Who do you think wins in a fight, you or Prime Floyd?
Me.
No questions?
Why would you think that I would say Floyd? You know, that's one of my favorite fighters. But yeah, nah.
Jeff Mayweather, the uncle of Floyd Mayweather Jr., told fans that Floyd was already past his prime when he fought Canelo Alvarez. He said Floyd was older, a bit slower, and not as sharp as the version that once ruled across many divisions. Even so, he still beat Canelo using top-level skill, timing, and experience. Jeff feels that many people ignore this key detail when they compare Floyd's win to Terence Crawford beating Canelo. His main point is that the situation matters because Floyd was near the end of his best years while Crawford was performing at his peak, which makes simple comparisons unfair.
Plus, if we remember, Canelo at that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. CJ Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course. And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he took him, into deep waters. So
What was Canelo? What, 20 something? 20 what? 23, 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.
Yeah, very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah, but
man, that was 30-something years old, 36.
But Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people. But
how you at the top of your career in your prime? You in your prime. You ain't in your prime when you're at 36. That's not your prime.
Did he lose? I mean,
your prime is in your 20s.
It's different for different people.
Yeah, okay. Well, so, and that's why Canelo is saying what he's saying.
Want to
make himself look like he did something.
Stephen A. Smith said that Terence Crawford's win over Canelo Alvarez was one of the most thrilling fights in recent years. He praised Crawford for beating a naturally bigger opponent, even though he was viewed as the smaller and less powerful fighter. Smith explained that the fight showed not only Crawford's top-level skill, but also his ability to keep fans fully interested and entertained in his view. Fighters like Crawford are very important for boxing because they combine elite talent with Excitement making every performance feel unique and unforgettable.
90,482 people showed up for this fight. But the biggest props of the night goes to Terence Crawford, who did not disappoint. He was supposed to be the smaller man. He was supposed to be the weaker man. He was supposed to be the man that was going to spend the entire night on his bicycle, running for his damn life because Saul Canelo Alvarez was coming his way. That is not what happened. What happened instead, ladies and gentlemen, was a masterclass in boxing by Terence Crawford. Now, to me, the fight, some people were saying it was just severely lopsided and stuff like that. I'm not going for that. I'm not feeling that at all. It wasn't like that at all, okay? I had the fight 5-4 in favor of Terence Crawford after 9 rounds. It could have gone either way. And then he basically put on a boxing clinic over the last 3 rounds of the fight. And one rounds 10, 11, and 12. He used his jab. He kept his distance. He exchanged when necessary, which is something that I was scared to death of him doing. But he wasn't scared at all. Okay?
Another boxing supporter said that Floyd Mayweather Jr. has built a huge worldwide fan base by retiring undefeated and always bringing in massive pay-per-view numbers. However, he feels that Terence Crawford, who naturally fights as a southpaw and can easily switch stances, may have even higher natural ability. He described Crawford's style as different and very difficult for opponents to figure out. According to him, Crawford can control a fight in a way that reminds people of Mayweather while still showing his own style with sharp timing, accurate punching, and a calm, composed presence in the ring.
Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. Who wins this fight? I'm going with Terence Crawford, and I don't think that's unpopular or crazy to say. I think most people will agree with me. I understand Floyd Mayweather has a lot of fans out there, but the truth is, as great as Floyd Mayweather is, Terence Crawford is one of one. And I say that because who else has knockout power in both hands, is able to switch stances between orthodox and southpaw so seamlessly while having great footwork? It's not like Terence Crawford is some stationary target or a flat-footed fighter that's going to be chasing Floyd around. Terence Crawford knows how to cut the ring off. He has tremendous ring IQ, and not only is he a great boxer, but he's a great fighter. He'll be able to make it dirty. If he is on the inside with Floyd, that power will carry him far. And I just don't see how Floyd will be able to beat a Terence Crawford. I really don't see it. I understand Floyd's defense is incredible, but he is smaller than Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford would have a significant reach advantage on Floyd Mayweather. I believe Terence Crawford would also be taller than Floyd Mayweather, as well as all the skillful and technical aspects of what I just laid out prior. So I don't understand how anybody could pick Floyd Mayweather to beat Terence Crawford. Styles make fights, and I believe Terence has the style to beat one Floyd Mayweather. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. Join the discussion, subscribe for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.
Many people in boxing reject the ongoing comparisons between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Terence Crawford. They argue that Mayweather's dominance was one of a kind and cannot truly be repeated. No matter how impressive Crawford looks, they still rank Floyd above everyone because of his elite defense, ring IQ, and complete control of fights. Qualities they believe are still unmatched. Some critics also say that Crawford's growing reputation is partly fueled by hype as fans look for a new fighter to carry Mayweather's legacy forward. They point out that both fighters built their careers in very different ways. Floyd depended on defensive mastery, timing, and smart career decisions, while Crawford is known for switching stances, applying pressure, and taking more risks inside the ring. According to these analysts, the comparisons often ignore these key differences and are driven more by excitement than real similarity, which makes the debate seem bigger and more intense than it really is.
Terence Crawford isn't Mayweather. I need you guys to sit here, grab somebody close to you, hold their hand, sit down, say it with me. Terence Crawford is not Floyd Mayweather. They're just both black. That's the only similarities they have. They both black. Terence Crawford loves being hit. The guy likes to scrap. He likes to brawl. Terence Crawford isn't even an Alexander Usyk. This guy loves being hit. He gets a thrill out of it. He sticks his tongue at his opponents when he is hit. Look at that. He enjoys that stuff. He tends to fight with low hands at times. He tends to exchange and brawl in the pocket, planting fire despite him having really great feet. Sometimes he likes to sit there and fire. You have Terence Crawford beating Canelo, that's fine. I get you. But don't bring up Floyd Mayweather. No similarities. Floyd was way quicker, way sharper, better defensively, better reflexes, better timing, better IQ, better damn near everything. So say it with me one more time before we go. Terence Crawford, we said it, is not Floyd Mayweather. There we go.
Before Terence Crawford, very few fighters have become undisputed champion in more than one weight division, and this achievement has made him stand out in boxing history. It shows his versatility, strength, and ability to perform at a high level across different weight classes. Floyd Mayweather Jr., on the other hand, never fully unified all major belts at welterweight or super welterweight. However, Crawford has earned undisputed status in multiple divisions, giving him a rare accomplishment across different weight categories. This milestone adds strength to his legacy and gives his career a unique edge in some discussions compared to Mayweather's achievements, even though both are widely considered among the greatest fighters in boxing history.
Terence Bud Crawford defeats Canelo Alvarez and becomes the first ever male 3-division undisputed champion in boxing history. Thank God the judges got this one right. But wow, what a technical battle this was. It was a very close fight, but as it went on, Terence was getting more and more comfortable in there. I remember in the 7th round, he even stood right in front of Canelo and fought him on the inside. Then in rounds 9 through 12, Crawford really started to open up on his flurries, gaining Canelo's respect. But the reason Crawford won this fight was because he was surprisingly durable at 168. He was able to do his thing because for the 36 minutes he was in there with Canelo, he was never really worried about what was coming back at him. I mean, Canelo just kept going to Terence's right side of his body, and that stung a couple times, but those were the really only hard shots Canelo landed. Unfortunately, this is terrible for Canelo's legacy because the smaller men beat him up, and Canelo's kind of been cherry-picking his opponents the last couple years. But well-deserved for Terence Crawford. It's gonna look amazing on his legacy. Boxing got it right tonight. On the biggest stage, with the most eyeballs, no controversy, just pure sport. And one of the best ever at the sport got it done tonight, Terence
Crawford spoke about how seriously he prepared after his win over Canelo Alvarez and explained that his whole training camp was focused on building strength and fitness for moving up to 168 pounds. He said the victory came from careful planning, hard work, and strong belief in himself. Crawford added that he approaches every fight with clear focus and purpose, with the goal of making each performance add to and improve his legacy. His comments show that he sees himself as a key fighter of this era in boxing, driven by the belief that his time at the top is happening right now.
That ran with that narrative convinced me that was a narrative because I don't know the world as much. The thought of not having to lose weight is probably a happier. Was it how was camp? Good camp.
It was great. It wasn't a camp that we was focused on weight, so we could just focus on my craft and focus on, getting stronger, which we was already strong, but, we don't know what we up against. So, we definitely want to make sure our body is prepared for whatever onslaught Canelo brings. So, of course, we gonna, cross our I's and dot our T's. And, that's what we did in training.
You looked unbelievable. Mm-hmm. You looked absolutely unbelievable. Not that you ever don't, but it's just like, God, this guy looks like he is very prepared. And then as the fight continued, it felt that way. Turkey Al-Sheikh deemed you the fighter of the century. And obviously Ring Magazine and TKO come together to put this incredible event together. What has it been like, with the modern world of boxing now, that Riyadh season has gotten involved? And obviously Dana and Nick Khan of the WWE. And it feels like anything is possible in the boxing world now. Is that the big takeaway that we should think after you and Canelo fight and have the success, or how do you kind of view it all?
Yeah, for sure. Anything is definitely possible. When a lot of people kept saying that what I was trying to.
That wraps up today's video. Thank you for watching, and make sure to stay tuned for more content coming soon.